Welcome to the Born Creators Podcast, the show where we color outside the lines, leave the boxes behind, and reclaim our birthright as creators of our own lives. If you're ready for a reset, honey, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Toni, an intuitive channel, guide, and artist. And here I am finally sharing my voice after many, many years of feeling called to do so, but letting a fear of judgment and rejection hold me back. I just didn't feel secure enough in myself to put myself out there. And subconsciously, I distracted myself in relationships. I burned up a lot of my creative energy in work. And I honestly served as the unofficial therapist to my friends, all to stifle the call. But the call only got louder and louder and louder and more annoying. And then it became painful. And I decided that I had to overcome this fear and start sharing what was on my heart. And it took a while, but here we are. One message that I was called to share is that we are all born creators, but we forget. I believe that we are all unique sparks of source, of God, of the creator, whatever resonates with you, who came to earth with vast and expansive plans, crystal clear missions, and specific creations to bring forth in our brief yet beautiful lives. But then we forget, but not immediately. As children, we truly believe we can do anything and be anyone we want to be. But as we get older, we experience different traumas, we go through different things, and especially our parents condition us, along with society, to follow a specific kind of hypnotic program, one that prioritizes practicality and security over creativity and risk-taking, especially if you're a person of color or a first or second generation American like I am. I guess I should share a bit about me. I immigrated to the US from Kingston, Jamaica when I was 4 years old with my mother. And because she wanted to ensure I would succeed in this new place where we didn't have much of a support system, she really trained me to always strive for excellence and to seek stability and work hard. I know you know the saying in some of our households, we have to work twice as hard to get half as far. And that is a form of programming. I also knew I didn't want to struggle like I saw my mom struggle to raise me alone in a new place without the community that she had back home. And as a sensitive child, this very, let's say, strong guidance from my mom developed into a bit of a quest for perfectionism within myself. And we all know that isn't attainable. And that led to major anxiety disorder in my 20s and to a harshness with myself that I'm finally healing from. But in many ways, I was rewarded for this perfectionism and striving energy with raises, with promotions, opportunities, etc. throughout my career. And I even landed what some would call a dream job at a very well-known company when I was in my late 20s. It's the kind of job that I felt would give me a sense of meaning, of direction, and, to be honest, validation. Like, oh, you work there? Okay, I see you. And honestly, that did happen. But it wasn't the experience I expected. While I was there, I worked with very intelligent, creative people who won awards and have been widely celebrated for their work. People who reached the pinnacle of their career, essentially. But after being embedded with them and working closely together, I noticed that many of them were deeply unfulfilled and unsatisfied with their lives. And while they had the means to leave their position or try something new, or take a break, they didn't seem to even consider that. They just accepted their fate in a way, like, oh, I'll just retire in this role. And that didn't sit right with me. I felt a bit disappointed that I couldn't look to any of the quote unquote leaders around me for guidance around this feeling inside of me that something wasn't quite right. I realize now that while this environment is indeed a pinnacle of excellence for some and an incredible creative training ground that I'm grateful for, it just wasn't a place where I could share my voice, quite literally. And so it simply was not aligned. And I realized a clear pattern. I would feel energized, awake, and alive every weekend. And then, child, every Monday, I would crash out. I felt my radiance and my life force just deplete week after week after week after week. I knew something had to change when the insomnia I had developed in my early 20s, when I first started working in advertising in New York and doing too much and working too hard, returned. I went to the company's state-of-the-art sleep clinic, and after being observed for a few months, the clinician told me that the only issue that he could see seemed to be my job, and that I would probably sleep like a baby if I won the lottery and didn't have to work. Yeah. A few weeks later, my therapist let me know that she could place me on a medical leave so I could rest and recover. And at first, I pushed back. All I could think about was what other people would think of me for going on leave. Like, I thought you had to be on the brink of death to do something like that. Also, recall I'm Jamaican. But when I was sitting with myself, considering my different options, my spirit said to me clear as day, Toni, in many ways you are dying. You're losing your sense of self. You're losing your grip on reality even. You are in need of a break. And so I realized I had a choice and that this was my opportunity to change the course of my life. And so I surrendered. I stopped concerning myself about how I would be judged, and I chose myself. And that changed everything. It's been almost 4 years since I went on that medical leave, and I never returned back to that job. Not even 24 hours into the leave, y'all, I knew I wouldn't go back. It felt like I had woken up out of a trance that I had been in. After officially resigning, I took a longer than expected sabbatical that allowed me to really restore my nervous system and connect to my soul and my spirit. And then slowly I eased back into the working world. This journey I've been on hasn't been simple. It hasn't been straightforward. And honestly, there's too much to share in this episode. But I do not for one second regret my choice to surrender and to write a new script, because the one I was working with, it needed edits. It just wasn't for me. It didn't fit me. And now I know I am the guide and the leader I had been searching for the whole time throughout my entire career. I'm now able to hear the voice of God, of Source, and my higher self, now that I've really turned the volume down on the external world, all of its demands and expectations and what other people think. And I am turning up the volume on my inner knowing, my inner guidance, my inner compass. And perhaps that's what my soul came here to do, to be a guide, to tune into my true north, which is within myself, and to show others that they can do the same thing, that they are ultimately the leaders of their lives. And maybe this podcast is helping me remember my mission. I've also realized that it's my inner child who holds many of the answers I had been seeking in the outside world. She knows a very integral truth that we adults often forget. My inner child knows that we're here to play, that there's power in imagination, and that there is so much that is possible for me, even at my big age. And I really was doubting that. So I listen to her more now. She always knew the way, and she led me to create this platform. Born Creators explores creator consciousness through conversation. According to the internet and my intuition, creator consciousness is a state of awareness where an individual consciously recognizes their ability to shape their reality through their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions, essentially understanding that they have the power to actively create their own experiences in life rather than passively accepting what happens to them. The systems and structures that feed off of our collective disempowerment make this level of consciousness seem unattainable, but we know deep down it isn't. I've noticed that even in the most challenging circumstances, people find a way. We always find a way. And that's because the power of our souls is so much greater than the energy of the matrix, this limiting construct that we have been born into and are shifting out of. The first season of Born Creators will feature people within my community who are embodying creator consciousness in their own way and illuminating a path for us all. I'm so excited to share these conversations with you and really to grow alongside you. So thank you for listening. I thank you for being here. Be sure to subscribe to Born Creators on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're listening or watching right now. And if you want to keep up with me and the show, please follow me on Instagram at Intuitive Toni. That's Toni with an I. And until the next episode, remember, you are a born creator.